welcome to the 20th anniversary of Uncle Marty, aka Martin Luther Bender. Um, he was born March 25th, 1951 to June 2003. He was a very close friend to Mr. Rock. He was my dad's friend, but he did teach me a lot of things growing up, and yeah. And we're going to be celebrating the life of. Um, so, with that being said, I'm going to learn. So, before we start, I want to take you to a place back into the early 90s when I first met him. So, it was at Winnipeg Beach, uh, probably about late 96, early 97 when I first met him. He had a trailer and everything else, I think trailer and cabana or something like that. Um, um, so yeah, when I first met him, my dad knew him from before. Um, so that's how I got to meet him. Um, Very cool guy. Um, so in his life, he drove a semi truck for Safeway. Um, he had his own motorcycle, Corvette. You know, um, he cared about his kids, even though it felt like sometimes his kid didn't care about him, but he did care about his kids. I know he had like maybe four kids or something like that, four or five kids. Um, the only two I actually have ever met in a way was Nicole and little Marty. Um, um, and maybe I met the other kids at the funeral. But yeah. Um, so, but yeah. So when I first met him was like I said, it was either late '96, early '97 when I first met him. Um, my dad literally took me over there to meet him for the first time, and he literally said, "Well, this is my pal, Martin," you know. And over times, I just called him Uncle Marty. I think that's what most people called him, anyways. He was like the uncle type. You know, like if you needed $20, he'll give it to you. If you needed a T-shirt, he'll give it to you, and everything else. Like it didn't matter to him. And honestly, I think that was kind of his downfall. I hate to say it, but that was kind of his downfall and everything else. So stuff that he actually did like. One of his favorite movies was Lethal Weapon. Serious, to be honest. I remember he used to go over to his place and he'll literally have it on the Super Channel, and they would play Lethal Weapon one to literally like three at first, and I remember him getting excited when Lethal Weapon 4 literally came out. It was all excited. He's like, "Hell yeah, Lethal Weapon's coming out! This is exciting and everything else." I remember him being so damn cheerful about it. Um, but yeah, but he's also the man who literally showed me how to ride a motorcycle at an early age. So, because in Winnipeg Beach, it was kind of like no rules. It wasn't like the city. In Winnipeg Beach, there was no rules in a way. You could literally do whatever the hell you wanted to do back then. You know, I don't know if it's like that today, but back in the '90s, 2000s, it didn't matter, to be honest. So yeah, he showed me how to ride a motorcycle out there. Showed me how to drive his car. I'm thankful for that. Um, I even got to ride his motorcycle um, by myself when I was a kid. And I remember being scared, and he used to say, "Just take a powder, kid. Just take a damn powder. Calm down, cool yourself down, ride into the wind, never look back." So, and that's what I did, you know. And yeah, I also drove his car um, as well. But one of the greatest moments I ever had with him was probably back in, I believe it was either 2001, 2002. It was like one of the final years of his life. Um, we built my motorcycle back in the day, which was the 1981 Panhead. We spent about 2 to 4 weeks building that motorcycle. Can't remember exactly how long it was, but I remember we literally spent literally a portion of the summer literally building my motorcycle. I thought it was his, and then after it was built, he hands me the keys, and he literally said, "This is yours." And it's a motorcycle that some people have seen, knowing that it's in GTA. I literally customized the motorcycle in GTA Online to literally look like my motorcycle, the one that we built. Um, but yeah, that was a great moment. Um, Another great moment is when I was like back at Winnipeg Beach. He used to drink a lot of moonshine, and he used to invite me over, and we used to sit there, and he used to say, if you want a drink that's going to put hair on your chest, and ladies love hair, here's some white lightning mixed with some ginger ale. And I literally used to say, what's white lightning? Moonshine, kid. The good stuff. And yeah, we used to sit there, we used to drink moonshine and everything else, and it was a fun time, you know. And he used to tell me stories about like when he was a kid, you know. And he said straight up, if he could go back to when he was a kid and change some of the freaking past, he might have, he said. But he doesn't have any regrets. That's why he always used to tell me, never have any regrets in life. Keep moving forward, never look past. Take a powder. So, that was his famous lines. He collected a lot of rock and roll stuff as well. He had a lot of concert tickets. Um, and that's what I did as well. I did exactly the same thing that my Uncle Marty did because of him. I collected concert tickets over the years, and I have them on my wall. Um, but it's because of him where I seen that I literally said, "Wow, that looks pretty cool." Um, and yeah, uh, when he died in June 16, 2003, he was going for a financial rough time. I remember technically, you know, couldn't even freaking afford hamburger meat or anything like that. I remember our family literally giving him boxes of like macaroni, hamburger helper, anything, and he would eat this stuff without pretty much no hamburger, nothing, you know, and it literally made me sad, to be honest, to literally see him go down that road. But yeah, when he died, he pretty much didn't have anything. He was going through a divorce. That's why he was going through a divorce with Blanche. At the time, I believe that was her name. Um, um, but yeah, and also, you know, when he died, he had one of the coolest funerals I probably ever seen. He had like rock and roll music, all his favorite songs, and he used to listen to KY58. Big shout out to KY58 if you are watching this video. They were Winnipeg-based radio station. Uncle Marty loved that radio station to death, you know. And I remember listening to it KY58, on his old radio. And he had this old antique radio. It literally was probably from the 1940s. And he used to listen to it. And it was actually pretty cool. He smoked cigars. He did drink. He loved the cigarettes as well. But um, the first time I ever had a cigar was for Uncle Marty, to be honest. He literally said, "Hey kid, what? Frickin' my buddy's literally just had a frickin' baby girl. Here's a cigar." And I said, "Seriously?" He's like, "Yeah, man, smoke up, man. Don't worry about it. It's a cool thing." So yeah, um, but before that, I was already smoking weed. I literally partaked in a couple cigarettes at the time before that as well. But that was the first time I ever had a cigar was with Uncle Marty. Um, so a lot of my experiences came from him. The last present that I ever got from Uncle Marty was a Goldberg sweater, which came like in Christmas of 2002, I believe it was. He gave it to me. I don't have that sweater anymore. I wish I did. Um, Unfortunately, my place got infested with bed bugs, and a lot of my clothes got literally thrown out. So at the time, so yeah. Um, but yeah, over the years, I used to see Uncle Marty almost every like 3 to 4 months. You know, if we were traveling on the road, I'll see him after we were done touring and everything else. He was kind of the guy that you wanted to be like in life. You know, that no freaking didn't take no shit from nobody attitude. You know, it didn't matter who you were. You know, he would literally just say straight up, if you're gonna mess with me, I'm gonna f you up. If you're gonna be friends with me, you'll be my best freaking friend. You know, and even my mom even said, you know, he was probably a better father. And I'm not joking about this. She said this, my mom. He was probably a better father than my own dad. And I kind of agree with her with the stuff that my dad literally did and everything else. Like, there's a dark side of my dad that I would never go into, you know. But at the end of the day, um, yeah. So, yeah. I know that technically this is a hard video to make in a way because I'm going over 20 years of memory, you know, like 25, 30 years of memory that I have of them. So, but yeah, I remember very what he used to look like. He had black curly hair. He loved his Ray-Ban sunglasses. You know, he used to tell me straight up, if they're not Ray-Bans, they're cheap. Simple as that. He didn't care for literally like freaking other brand of sunglasses. Had to be a Ray-Ban, you know. So, and yeah, after Uncle Marty died, he did promise me his motorcycle and his Corvette. Eventually, his kids got it, which technically I just went whatever. But that didn't stop me at all. When Uncle Marty died in probably about 2005, I believe it was, I literally bought a replica motorcycle of exactly the one that he had. He had literally like the big eagle of Harley Davidson on his motorcycle with the freaking Harley Davidson on on the side. So I had that. It was a Sportster. Um, but I didn't like Sportsters, to be honest. I still didn't. So I barely drove the thing. I drove from Winnipeg Beach to and back in honor of Uncle Marty, you know. And trust me, that bike used to bump on the highway constantly. So I just kept it, but at the end of the day, it was not freaking fun to drive. Um, but yeah, you know. But yeah, like I said, out of Uncle Marty's kids, the only two that I really remember is little Marty and Nicole. I remember them being at the funeral, upset and everything, but you know, I was young at the time too. I think they're a little older than me, if I remember correctly. I think they're older than me. I might be wrong on that, but at the end of the day, you know, and Uncle Marty's best friend was Roger. Him, Roger, my dad were all pretty close to each other. You know, Roger would come over to the house and everything else. And I'm pretty sure Roger's probably dead by now. If not, well, he's probably up the hill and over because I believe he was literally like 67 years old when Uncle Marty died. So, yeah. But yeah, he had a trailer at Winnipeg Beach, and I remember very carefully where I used to play on the swings and at the park. He used to come by and then literally give me like a pop. Like there used to be a soda machine and everything else right around the corner. So he'll go put literally a couple dollars in, be like, "Here, kid, don't tell your parents." Because my dad didn't never really give me money, to be honest. My dad was pretty very tight with money, so technically, Uncle Marty would literally do that for me from time to time. He'll be like, "Hey, kid, you look thirsty. You want a drink?" So he'll go to this old soda machine, you know, had ice cold Coca-Cola, but it had a whole bunch. So he would always get me a drink. I believe drinks were literally like $1 at the time, but I remember him doing that very often. Every time they used to see me at the park, you know, he would do that for me, and honestly, I treasure that memory because at the end of the day, you know, not too many people would do that for me back in the day, you know. So, and yeah. Uh, I remember very carefully what his trailer used to look like. He used to have patio lanterns outside the trailer. And technically, and I used to say, why do you have so many patio lanterns? Like, like for instance, his whole entire freaking thing was surrounded with patio lanterns. And he used to say, it's like a Kid Mitchell song, man. And I used to say at the time, Kid Mitchell, patio lanterns? He's like, yeah, man. It's a great song, and that's the way how life should be, you know. And at the end of the day, yeah, I remember that very carefully. Um, but I would say he was the very first Mr. Rock, you know. Even though my channel is Mr. Rock and all that stuff, and it's kind of like a joke because I am like the rock and roll encyclopedia. But he was the person who literally taught me about a lot of rock and roll stuff, you know, growing up, you know. Like, he used to listen to a lot of blues. He listened to a lot of rock. You know, he knew how to play the harmonica very well. You know, like, he could play the harmonica probably just as good as Dan Aykroyd and frickin' John Belushi as from the Blues Brothers. You know, and it was pretty impressive. You know, um, but yeah, um, but. Whew, after he died, in a way, my life kind of went into a downhill spiral. I wish he knew about that, but it kind of did. I never really got over his death, to be honest. I still, to this day, never have, to be honest. Even though it's been 20 years, you know, my life went into a downhill spiral. That's when I started really doing hardcore drugs. Um, Started drinking really heavy at the time when I lost them. And, you know, And I thought my life was over at the time. And 20 years later, I look back and I think to myself, you know, if there's something I would have changed in my past, maybe I would have handled his death a little bit better. But I didn't, to be honest. I really didn't. And yeah, you know, but yeah, he was an independent biker in a way as well. And like he could literally drive for hundreds of miles and wouldn't even care to him. You know, he cared about freedom. He didn't care about being rich. He didn't care about being famous. All he cared about was freedom. And that's why he used to tell me, as long as I'm freaking free from society and all the fucking rules that they have, I'm good to go. But yeah, I think that's probably where I'm going to end this video, guys. Um, but before I do end the video, I will be right back. I'm just going to go grab a drink and cheers to them. So just hold on. Okay, Mr. Rock's back. Got the glass right here. It's not White Lightning, which I wish it was, because that would have been a good way to send him off. It's Jack Daniels and his favorite, ginger ale. Cheers to you, buddy. Hope one day I'll see you soon. But yeah, thank you to everyone that watches this video, and I hope I did Uncle Marty some justice. Um, and you know, with that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later, everyone.